Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced and welcome to more Python. Okay, so in the last video we talked about comments, we talked about variables, and we talked about if statements. So what I want to do this time is I want to focus on operators. So we're going to create a new file to work out of. So I'm going to click plus and I'm going to create a new Python 3 file. Okay, awesome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create let's actually just rename this real quick. Let's call it operators. Okay, and the bottom line is that there's going to be different operators you can use to create expressions. Okay, so there's going to be math operators. Okay, so for example, let's just print several expressions that use these math operators. So I could say like 5 plus 5. So the plus sign is the operator. It's the thing that allows me to do something with values that are on the right and the left. So in this case, of course, add's going to add the values that are on the left and the right. So it's going to add 5 and 5 and give me back 10. Okay, but before we run that cell, let's just do a few more. So again, that's going to be our add operator or addition operator. Let's do 5 minus 5. Okay, and that's going to be our subtraction operator. Okay, let's do print 5 times 5. So the asterisk is our multiplication operator. Okay, and then print 5 divided by 5, which is going to be our division operator. Okay, and if I remember right, I always get the different languages is confused. I know JavaScript for sure has this, but if I do 5 multiple 5, that should be our exponent operator. Let's just double check to make sure that is the case. So let's run this code so far. And yep, that is the case. Okay, so again, we can do exponents with this 5. Okay, another math operator I want to talk about, just want to kind of give it its own cell, is modulus. Or modulo. Okay, and essentially what this is, it's the remainder operator. What it does, it captures the remainder. So let's think about it. Oh, nope, I actually wanted to kind of stay in that cell. So let's, for example, show one example where I say, hey, I want to know if 8 modulo 2, what is the result of that? So the way you have to think about it is if I said 8 divided by 2, actually let me do that in a comment. If I divided 8 by 2, what is the remainder? Okay, which, if I did divide it 8 by 2, there should be no remainder, right? Because 2 goes into 8 evenly. Okay, 8 is divisible by 2. Should be none. Okay, now if I do another example, if I say 8 modulo 3, well, if I divided 8 by 3, what is the remainder? In this case, if I do 8 divided by 3, so that'd be 3, 6. Well, there's going to be 2 left, right? Because after 6, there's 2. I don't have a third to do an extra even division of 3 into 8. So I should have a remainder of 2. Okay, so moral of the story is, and you see those are the exact answers that we got. Okay, but just want to add a little bit more commenting to that. Keep holding shift. Moral of the story is, if modulo is anything other than 0, then the first number is not divisible by the second number. Okay, now where does this come up a whole lot? Trying to figure out if something is even or not. So I can say, hey, you know what, is 10 even? Well, then I would just do something like this. If, 10 modulo 2, because an even number is a number divisible by 2, equals 0, so there is no remainder, which means it's divisible, then we have an if statement. Again, I use a colon to designate that I'm going to start a code block, and then we can just say print it is even. And then, else print. And again, an else block is not required. You can do them, but you don't have to do them. Okay, print it is not even. Okay, and then if I were to run this block, it is even. 10 is an even number. Okay, so those are math operators. Now, some of those operators can work with strings. Okay, so that's referred to as concatenation. Okay, so I can, did it again. I can do this, like print hello one string and then add another string. And this would work. This is referred to as concatenation. So again, if I hold shift and I run the cell, I get hello world. Now, I can also do things like, well, let's try here. Let's see if I actually can do this. Print hello minus world. Okay, so now when you look at that, you're like, how would two words subtract themselves? This doesn't make any sense. This probably shouldn't work. Okay, and it didn't work, so we get an error. Now, this is an important thing. When you read a Python error, generally the output that you want is going to be, again, always next to the error name. So you'll see here it says type error. So the issue here, a type error is an error meaning the problem is the types of data. So the idea is that I'm trying to subtract, but subtraction should only work with numerical types of data, not string types of data. So it's saying, hey, we don't have a way to use the subtraction symbol onto strings. We just don't know how to do that. Okay. And Python is a strongly typed system in a sense. Not what that means is that certain things can only be done with certain data types, and it will throw errors if you try to go outside of that. Okay, unlike a language like JavaScript, which is weakly typed and will oftentimes try to figure out what you're trying to do and make assumptions and sometimes make correct or wrong guesses as to what you're trying to do. Okay, so you're going to get errors, and errors are good. Errors tell you, I'd rather have an error when I make a mistake so that way I can know to fix it than to have a mistake where I get no error and I have no idea how to fix it. Okay, so errors are good things. You want errors. Okay, cool. But see, that doesn't work. Okay, let's try a different thing. Can I divide words together? So let's see if that works. Nope. Can I multiply the words together? Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay, so basically addition is the only one that you can use with two strings. Now I wonder, what if I try to multiply it with like a number? What if I took a string and multiplied it by a number? Does that work? And that does work. You can multiply a string by a number to get that string, well, multiplied multiple times. Okay, so there is a lot of dynamics to knowing, okay, when you can use certain operators and when you can't. Now, another approach to sort of working with strings in this way, so kind of like how we added these strings together, another approach is something called interpolation. Okay, interpolation is different than concatenation, because in concatenation, what you're doing is you're adding strings together. So again, the idea here is you're adding strings together. Okay, over here, what you're doing is you're injecting values into a string. Okay, so you're saying, hey, there's going to be some spots, kind of like Mad Libs. You're saying, hey, there's some spots where we're going to put information. It doesn't have to be another string. Could be a number, generally a number or a string. Okay, so in this case, what I could do is I can say print. And when you want to use interpolation, what you have to do is you have to create what's called a format string. So you put the letter F in front of the string, and then you can put your quotation marks. Okay, and then what I can do is say, hey, like, my name is Alex, and I am, and then what you do is you put in curly brackets anywhere you want to inject something, and then you put what you want to inject in the curly brackets. So I can say, hey, I am Alex, and I am 30 plus 8 years old. So see, I'm injecting like a mathematical expression in there. And actually, let's create a variable and see that works. I'm Alex, and I am 38. But I can go even further and say, hey, let's make a variable called name that equals Alex. Instead of writing Alex right in there, I can just say, my name is name, put the name of the variable in there. So it'll put the value of the variable in that spot. And then here it's going to evaluate the expression and put the results of the expression in that spot. Okay, and then when I run that, I get that. Okay, great way to kind of generate, like, if you're taking a data set and you're generating emails, you can get your list of customers, and then write up the text for the emails. And you can do multiple lines. Sometimes if you did want to write an email, you'd probably want to do it over like multiple lines. Okay, so let's create again, we have the name, email is print. If you want to do a multi-line string, what you do is you use 3 quotation marks. And then wherever it ends, you put another 3 quotation marks. Okay, and I think we still put the F in front of it if we want to use format strings. So I can be like dear name. So, a bunch of gibberish, just to kind of get the point across. Okay, and this is all going to be treated as one string, and it's going to track all those line breaks, all that stuff. Everything is treated as a string there. I hit shift, and see I get dear Alex and whatnot. So again, I can make this a multi-line string with 3 quotation marks, and anytime I want to use interpolation, I always put that F in front of the string. Okay, so that's essentially how that works. So cool. The only other operators I want to talk about, I also want to make sure I talk about Boolean operators. Okay, and these are just operators that allow you to evaluate something as true or false. We saw this a little bit in the previous video. Okay, so we'll just do them. So print is 1 greater than 2. Oops, false. Well, spoilers. Is print is 1 less than 2. Print is 1 less than or equal to 1. Is print 1 greater than or equal to 1? Is print 1 equal to 1? And is, and I'm going to change all those to 2, 1 not equal to 2. Okay. And I can also do compound. So I'll show you some compound ones too. I can do like print is 1 not equal to 2, which would be true, and 1 not equal to 1, which that would be false. Okay. And then if I were to copy that real quick and do that in the next line and change this to an or, how does that change things? Okay. So now if I run this, see the first one, 1 is greater than 2, that's false. 1 is less than 2, that's true. Okay, notice that the true and false are uppercase. That's a thing in Python. It's not lowercase false and true like it is in a lot of languages. It's uppercase false and true. Okay, and those are Boolean values. Okay, so true, true. Okay, and you can see here that those last two is one. There's only one of these two has to be true. So even though this expression is false, 1 is equal to 1. This is true. So this is going to be false because not both of them aren't true. But in this one, only cares that one of them are true. So in that case, since one of them is true, it is true. Okay. Again, Boolean values are a thing. So I can print the value of true. And I can print the value of false. But again, it's uppercase. So I can't print the value of lowercase true. That would just be assumed to be a variable. Okay, so you see true is not defined. It successfully printed out the first two, but not the third one. So keep that in mind, that in Python, true and false are uppercase values. With that, I'll leave this video there, and I'll see you all in the next one.